Okay, so you've gotten pre-approved. Now you're asking the question, what do I do after my pre-approval? Because it seems as if the pre-approval is the big target at the very beginning. And then I get a lot of clients who have the question of, well, what happens next? Right? Particularly for first-time home buyers, because it's your first time going through it. So you have questions about, what the steps could be because you want to make sure you get them right. You want to do it the right way. Here's my viewpoint of what you should do if you're looking for success in the market after you get pre-approved with a loan officer. So mainly what you should be doing after your pre-approval is confirming that you have a good understanding of what you got pre-approved for, right? So going back and forth with the lender, going over the numbers, making sure everything makes sense, understanding what type of loan you're getting and the ins and outs, if there's income limits, what the rate is, the down payment, options available to you, really drill that down and make sure that on top of just getting a pre-approval, that you also have a good understanding of what it is you're actually pre-approved for, right? So that's where I call the now I've gotten you to that stage, I'm kicking you out the door into the market, right? Because that's when you should be comfortable enough to go to the market to start actually making decisions about the homes that you want to buy, is once you have a good financial understanding of what you have the capacity to do and willing to do, right? So that's when you should be allowed to now go out into the market and try making offers, right? If your loan officer just got you a pre-approval and didn't cover that stuff with you, you're kind of in the dark. So that's why these next steps are important. So make sure the numbers are good. Next, after that, you want to make sure that your agent and your loan officer and maybe your attorney, whoever's involved, all the decision makers, husband, wife, right, partner, parents, whoever is the big decision makers, maybe financial advisor, you want all of those people on the same page. You ideally want the agent, particularly the big three, agent, lender, attorney. You want them for sure all on the same page, working in unison, having a good understanding. You don't want a deal to fall apart because an agent and a loan officer weren't on the same page and you looked at a house or a condo that didn't fit your availability in the financial world and no good, right? So you want to make sure that those parties are aligned with your best interests in heart, so they're all mutually working towards that same goal of helping you achieve the reason why you're even talking to any of those people, right? Is to buy a house for whatever reason, investment, your family, whatever. You want all those people on the same page, right? So that's step one. Line them all up, make sure they're all good to go. Ideally, they're already all lined up as you're getting your pre-approval, and everyone is in unison moving towards the same objective of getting you a house, right? And then the next crucial part is numbers, numbers, numbers. As you're looking at homes, and to go back to the strategy, once you have those people all aligned, you want to then make sure that you have a good strategy for what's going on in the market from the standpoint of as local as you are. The broad brushstroke of looking at the national numbers of what's happening, is it a seller's market, is it buyers, is it whatever? You really want to drill down to the areas that you're buying. You want to know what's happening, how quickly are homes selling, for what prices above or below list price, right? Are houses staying on the market? Are sellers offering incentives? What's typical for contingencies? You want to figure out what's going on in the market, and then you want to apply your willingness to that market, and then come up with your best strategy, whether you have a home to sell, whether you need a certain amount of time because you have a lease that you're waiting to get out of, whatever the reasons are that you might have a certain nuanced position as to what type of deals you can do. You want to go over that with your agent. You want to go over that with your loan officer. And then you want to have a good idea of what's going on in the market, in the areas that you're buying, because the goal is to take your situation and win a house in the marketplace, particularly if it is a seller's market. And a lot of my market in New England has been skewed towards that side of the fence for a while, with very few moments that the buyer gets a little, you know, kink in the armor to kind of break in a little bit and get some good opportunities. There's very few. It's still mostly seller driven, which means you might be up against one, two, three, or four other offers, right? So you want to try to have a good strategy for taking the pre-approval that you got and actually executing with it in the market and getting a house, right? So that strategy is important. Next, numbers. Once you have a good foundation of understanding what you qualify for during pre-approval, a good strategy to the market, the types of homes you're buying, everyone on your team is in unison in terms of what your goals are. Now it really just comes down to running numbers for each house. Every time you're looking at a house, ideally what you're doing is you're talking to those people that are helping you make the decision, right? Family, partner, husband, wife, agent, lender, and you're structuring offers within your yes range of what you'd be willing to do for that house, and you're not doing any of that blindly. You're looking at it from house to house, situation to situation, and trying to apply the best offer you can with what you want to do because you want to give it your best every time when it's a competitive market because you don't want to look back 2 weeks out after making an offer on a house and realizing like, ah, we probably could have gone 10 grand more and we might have got it, right? You don't want to look back at that in hindsight. You want to make sure you're asking all those right questions before you even entertain floating that offer out so that you know you're making the best and strongest offer that you're willing to make, right? That you gave it your all and you didn't leave any cards on the table. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. On to the next one. You don't want to not get the house and think you could have done something different and realize, oh, maybe if I called my lender, ran the numbers, if I did this, what if we did less down or more down? Or you want to test out all those boundaries before making the offer, right? So you know you're good to go and you're solid. So numbers, numbers, numbers. That's probably the most important part in terms of actually taking all the hard work of getting pre-approved and starting the process of buying a house and winning is that piece. And I think it gets overlooked the most because a lot of people get pre-approved to go, okay, I'm good to go. I have my pre-approval. And now let me just go make offers and see what happens. And this is where deals die is then they get a house under agreement. Then they go talk to their lender again and say, hey, we got a house. Great. And the taxes are way more money and it's in a flood zone. And now the payment's way higher. And maybe they don't qualify anymore because they didn't run the numbers ahead of time before they got the offer accepted. Or they don't like the payment because they didn't, really test the boundaries of hey, if it's in the flood zone, how much could the insurance be? How much is the regular insurance? How much are the taxes going to be for this house? Not for what the numbers were during pre-approval, because in pre-approval we're guessing. We don't know until you actually show us a property the specifics of what your total breakdown would be, which almost makes the numbers during pre-approval not real, if that makes sense. So you should just run ranges until you start looking at houses of just like, hey, what the taxes might be on a property for this price in this town, right? If it's there is insurance, how much could it be? There's a lot of like ifs and maybes in pre-approval. When you're actually looking at a house, we can start being precise. We can run specific numbers and really make sure you're good to go. So that's really the most important part to me to help you succeed is don't go in it blind, right? From that standpoint. And now the last one, make an offer and land a house. If you do all of the upfront work ahead of time and really test your yes range during pre-approval, looking at houses, this is what I've noticed. Confident buyers make confident offers with confident buyer agents, and that lands home with the seller agent. And then that seller agent explains that offer confidently to the seller, and those people win houses because they did their homework, they did the due diligence, they know what they want to offer, they made it in a confident manner, and then their agent just brought that energy through to the other side of the table. And I go, I'm going to that world of energy and all that fun stuff, right? It's real. I don't care what you think from that standpoint because it's definitely real because there's a big difference between a client who just willy-nilly throws an offer out there and goes, if I get it, I get it. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Throw this number. Maybe we get it, right? Then the buyer agent has their reputation on the line. They're not going to call the seller agent and go, my buyer is ready to go. They want this house so bad. They can't wait for your seller to say yes, and they're ready to rock and roll. Because they know if they oversell it and their buyer who's being wishy-washy and just kind of making an offer to make an offer doesn't get it, then, or they do get it and then it falls apart and they walk away, like that's a risk for the buyer agent and their market reputation of, hey, you told me these buyers were incredibly solid and they were ready to rock and roll, right? Like you're going to end up creating a loss energy there compared to the scenario of doing everything up front. Like I always tell clients, you're better off just not making an offer sometimes and saying no to a house that you really just don't want, and then focusing on the house that you really do want and moving that energy over to that house and trying to get it and really focusing in. You're just better off. And that's just experience of seeing clients win houses, that this flow of process of being diligent up front, running the numbers, running the precise numbers on that house, along with the strategy with the agent of, what are some nuanced things we could do with the contract and timing, and what is the seller looking for, and can we put together the best package for the seller to say yes, and can we hand that package off to the seller agent in a manner that the seller agent goes, hey, you guys have your shit together, right? This feels good. It feels like you have a good team that is trying to get to the closing table, because guess what? My seller is trying to get to the closing table as well. You want to put that energy out there, because if there's three, four, five offers and you're the high positive energy of showing the proactive steps of doing all the right things and presenting a strong, confident offer, and you're up against the wishy-washy, eh, not quite sure, even if it's a decent price, let's say the price is the same, you tell me which offer you think wins.